Two miscellaneous stories we want to hit. The first involving San Diego FC. I know you have some thoughts on them.
Yeah, I mean they came out today with some news that they are having the MLS's first residential academy with an integrated 6 through 12 school when they come into the league next year. And it's interesting. MLS teams, obviously, with the focus on youth development over the years, and a lot of money and resources that have been put into it. Many teams out there have incorporated an educational part of it. But this is an actual residential type of academy. We've seen this in the past. I think this is a really interesting and potentially impactful type of change. I don't know how many other teams are going to do it because it certainly brings other challenges out there. But this is essentially your school where, let's be honest, it's not like other schools. The priority is still soccer, with the recognition and the respect that integrating the scholastic part and the academic part in is important and maybe will entice others from the outside. Having them residential, that's a whole nother level of responsibility. And I would just say this, that responsibility goes beyond producing good soccer players. And so whether it's San Diego or any place else, I think if you ever abdicate that responsibility, then shame on you. So I hope that this goes well, and I hope that this gives a holistic type of approach to the development of young soccer players. But in doing so, I hope it concentrates just as much on that other 22 and a half hours that it does on that 90 minutes on the field. But we'll see ultimately what it looks like, the realities, the good, the bad, the challenges, and they're going to have some. And it's certainly, I would hope, as it continues to grow, gets better and better, and they very quickly fix whatever problems and challenges that they encounter, because it's a whole different animal when it becomes a residential academy.
The other story, which I hope we can use as a jumping off point for a larger conversation, involves this relevant lawsuit. They are a company that wants to stage competitive European club matches here in the United States. MLS and US Soccer are opposed to that, and so it led to an antitrust lawsuit. And FIFA had initially taken U.S. Soccer's side on that and were part of the lawsuit, and now they no longer are. It sounds like they've changed their tune and would be fine with this, so it's just U.S. Soccer fighting against it, and most people seem to think the momentum is moving towards it happening. And this dovetails with the Wrexham story we talked about the other day. Also, NBC recently had one of those Premier League fan fests in Nashville. There were thousands of Americans wearing Premier League clubs jerseys, and a lot of MLS fans were salty about that. They wondered, why don't those people support MLS clubs? So it has me thinking about this question of the growth of MLS versus the growth of soccer as a whole in this country. And when those two things aren't necessarily directly aligned, how do you reconcile that?
Well, I do think that they're aligned in that if you look at the growth of Major League Soccer, it does mirror the explosion and the growth. I mean, this is a league that was birthed out of 1994 and the World Cup. To your point, this should not surprise anybody. And I've said this time and time again, MLS's problem isn't that there aren't soccer fans in the United States. As a matter of fact, to your point, there continue to be more and more soccer fans. It's that there's not enough MLS fans. And that has been, from day one, the challenge that MLS has had to face in how to either develop them, birth them, or convert them. And sure, you would like them all to come into the MLS tent, but at the very least, you'd like them to straddle that tent, having their affiliations that you saw in Nashville and other places with these clubs around the world, but also having their local MLS team. And I can spread it out also to apply to USL and NWSL going forward. But this is going to continue to be a challenge, and it should not surprise MLS or anybody that this has happened, because this is who we are. And because we did not have a robust professional ecosystem that existed out there, people and generations have looked elsewhere. And when they, either rightly or wrong, fair or not, equate it with credibility and authenticity and being genuine in terms of what soccer is and all of that baggage that we talk about here on the show, it doesn't change the fact that people are into it. I don't have the answer. I know you don't necessarily have the answer. This is the fight. And this is the challenge for anybody that gets involved with professional soccer. And you certainly can't ignore it or be oblivious to it. But I'm not sure there is a good, solid answer that is that magic bullet that changes it on a dime. I think it's just a matter of working and showing time and time again that you measure up either on the field or off the field in terms of the experience.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question. Yeah. If you have a friend who hates soccer, makes fun of it, it's a dumb sport, and then they take a trip to England, they attend an Arsenal-Liverpool Premier League game, love it, come back and say, I was wrong, soccer is great, I'm going to become a fan now, but I want to watch the best, so I'm going to become a Premier League fan, not MLS. Are you annoyed at that, or is that a win? Hey, it's one more soccer fan in this country that didn't exist before.
Yeah, I would rather you be a soccer fan than not a soccer fan. I mean, that's obvious. But you ever heard the folks that go to Ireland and they drink Guinness and they come back talking about how awesome the Guinness is? I mean, it's kind of like that. And there is almost an infection that happens to some of the people that we're talking about here. So much so that infection produces a defense that they have the inability to see anything that is possibly something that they would like because they see it as less credible, obviously not genuine, less authentic. And that whole snobbery that comes with it, that is very difficult to penetrate once it has infiltrated the system and infected you.
Two examples in our control room right now. Sean Sullivan, a Bologna fan, and Jack, a Roma fan. Why aren't they supporting MLS teams?
Hey, listen, I think they both recognize that MLS is a part of their soccer spectrum. But let's take it back full circle to what's going on here. As you know, I am a fan of competition, but if I'm MLS, I don't want to make it easy for people to come into our backyard and to take over market share and to convert just Americans in general to insert your team, Chelsea or Arsenal or Real Madrid. But they see gold in our hills. And I don't blame them for wanting to do it. Ultimately, when it comes to what the law is going to say, it might fall one way or the other. And if it falls one way where they are able to have games and possibly meaningful games within the league that just ups the ante, yeah, that's going to be problematic. So you know what? If you're MLS, again, it goes back to what we said before. Be big and be bold and welcome the competition. But more importantly, if you're so badass and you have such great aspirations, then do the things on and off the field to compete. And don't let people come into your backyard, all right, and tell you what to do and show you what to do. And if you can't stop them from coming in, then you better be there with your dukes up, ready to fight. And don't you dare capitulate, because that's not the American soccer way. And I say that is not the American way, my friend.
And we mentioned this in the first segment. The expanded Club World Cup next summer is going to expose a lot of American fans to European clubs in competitive matches, including against MLS teams potentially. Imagine if MLS gets its clock cleaned in those games. That's not going to be a good look.
It's not good, but I will finally say this, and then we can move on. If and when you are able to convince somebody that is a snob about their soccer and talks about, the team over wherever it is that they support, and takes on all of the different words and jargons in order to look cool. If and when those people actually do go to an MLS game or become an MLS fan, not all the time, but more often than not, when they are exposed to it, they actually have fun and they see that it's in their backyard. And I think the best ones are able to separate out the two and understand they might be different experiences, but they both can be fun. And they both can be something that they can grab onto. And the best part about American soccer fans out there is the fact that they think globally, is the fact that they understand that there is soccer going on all over the world. And crapping on one team or league or country or culture just means that you have less soccer in your life. And I'm of the opinion that you need more soccer in your life, whether that's in your backyard or whether that's overseas. You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.